Beatle people, welcome back to A Beatleful Life. So today's video is going to be part 2 of my favorite Beatles song from each album at the moment. So we're going to do the second half of the wheel today, which starts at the Red album and ends with the Love album. If you missed part 1, I will link it above as well as in the at the end of the video. So let's get started. So first up is the Red album, and I think my current favorite from that is She Loves You. That may be in part because I was watching the First U.S. Visit documentary last weekend, but obviously that's a really classic Beatles song, really well known and loved. And I actually heard on the Beatles channel that for a long time it was the #1 best-selling single in the UK, only to be dethroned, if you will, by Mull of Kintyre, the Wings song, in I think pretty recently, like 2017 or something. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Next is the Blue album, and I think my favorite from that right now is Old Brown Shoe. I think that's a great George song, and it's an underrated Beatles song. That's not one that you hear people talking about a lot, but I really enjoy it. Next is Past Masters, and it was pretty hard to pick a favorite from this. But I would say right now mine is The Inner Light. I've said in some past videos that I really enjoy George's Indian-inspired songs, and that's no exception. So I really enjoyed that one, but I think a close second to that would be Rain. Next is the Beatles live at the BBC, and I think I have 2 songs that are tied for my favorite from this right now. One is Soldier of Love, and one is I'm Gonna Sit Right Down and Cry Over You. I really like both of those, and they actually play them on the Beatles channel pretty frequently. Next is Anthology 1, and my current favorite is In Spite of All the Danger. I think it's really cool that Paul has started playing this song in his shows. I think about 4 years ago he started doing that, but it's really cool that he plays something from, such a very early point in his career, when they were still the Quarrymen. So yeah, I really like that song, and it's really cool that I've gotten to hear it live a couple times. Next is Anthology 2. My current favorite from that is actually the strings-only version of Eleanor Rigby. That may be because I do enjoy some classical music, and when I sang with a choir in college, we often performed like with a string quartet or like a small orchestra or even a full orchestra at times. So I really enjoy those types of instruments. So I definitely enjoy that track, and it's really cool to hear the strings, isolated like that. Next is Anthology 3. My current favorite from that is the kind of isolated vocals version of Because. I really enjoy listening to isolated vocals, not only from the Beatles, but other artists as well. Maybe because I am kind of involved in singing myself. But that's super cool to hear, the isolated vocals for that, because it has all the layers and all. So it's really beautiful. It's a great song with or without the instruments. Next is the Yellow Submarine song track. My favorite from that is When I'm 64. I've always enjoyed that song, even when I was little. My dad used to be trying to learn it on the piano, and I always thought the part about losing my hair, that line, I always thought it was really funny for some reason. But I love that song to this day, and I actually like that part in the movie as well. When that scene where they're in the sea of time and they're aging forwards and backwards, and they have the whole song sequence when they're counting to 64 and all the colorful graphics and stuff. So I like both the song and the movie sequence. Next is the One album, and this is certainly an album that it's difficult to pick a favorite from because you're essentially choosing, from some of their best songs, all their #1s. But I think my favorite right now is I Feel Fine, and I can't remember if I told this story before, but I Feel Fine was one of the songs that kind of brought me back to the Beatles, so to speak, because I listened to them when I was very young, and then I had a few years in between where I didn't so much. But I would say when I was about maybe 11 or 12, I had one of those tiny iPods, an iPod Shuffle, and it had I Feel Fine on it, and I remember as soon as I heard it, I was hooked instantly, and that's what brought me to the point of being a big Beatles fan. Here we are today. Next is Let It Be Naked, and I think my favorite from this is The Long and Winding Road. Despite what I just said earlier about classical music, I do prefer the version of that song with no, orchestra, just kind of the stripped down naked version of the song, when Paul's vocals don't get kind of overshadowed sort of by the instruments or anything. So I do enjoy the kind of simpler version more. Now, I don't hate the original, but I prefer in this case, the version from Let It Be Naked. And then lastly, we have the Beatles Love album from the Cirque du Soleil show. I like a lot of songs on here, but I think my current favorite would be the mashup of Drive My Car, The Word, and What You're Doing. I first started listening to this album when, around that time that I was becoming a big fan again, and it was really cool to try to identify, all the parts from other songs that they put into each mashup, a particular guitar part or something like that. As I was becoming, more familiar with their songs, it was cool to try to pick out what I could recognize. But I haven't seen the Beatles Cirque du Soleil show yet. I've actually never been to Las Vegas at all, but I definitely hope to see it someday. Alright, so that concludes the second half of the wheel. Before I go, I just briefly want to mention, I mentioned earlier that I was listening to the Top 100 Countdown on the Beatles channel. Let me know what you thought of the results this year. I actually forgot to vote, but I did notice that a lot of the results were different from years past. For instance, 8 Days a Week actually dropped down a lot. It was all the way down at number 91. Obla Di Obla Da rose up like 50-something spots. And then the top 3 actually I don't think were the same as years past, because normally I think the top 2 have been A Day in the Life and In My Life, and this time the top 2 were Hey Jude and Yesterday. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But let me know what you thought. So that does it for today's video. I want to say thank you very much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more things like this. As usual, I will leave my blog and social media in the description so you can check those out. And as always, have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye-bye.